Few topics in education garner as much attention or spark as much controversy as the role of teacher unions in America's schools. Critics accuse unions of blocking necessary changes in education and protecting lousy teachers. Supporters argue that unions are critical to defending teachers' rights and safeguarding educators from misguided reforms. The Fordham Institute, in partnership with Education Reform Now, has analyzed and ranked the relative strength of teacher unions in every state in the country and the District of Columbia in our latest report, How Strong Are U.S. Teacher Unions? A State-by-State Comparison. In order to compare the strength of each state's teacher unions, we examined 37 different variables in 5 basic areas: resources and membership, involvement in politics, scope of bargaining, state policies, and perceived influence. Let's look at 3 of these more closely. Resources and membership. What percentage of teachers belong to unions, and how much do the unions receive in revenues? 98% of New York teachers belong to teacher unions, and the Empire State spends a higher proportion of its K-12 budget on teacher salaries and benefits than any other. Only 56% of teachers in the Sunshine State are unionized, and the Florida teacher unions have less revenue per teacher than nearly every other state. Involvement in politics. How active are a state's teacher unions when it comes to contributing to political campaigns? Alabama's teacher unions are very active in politics. Political contributions from the Alabama Education Association to state-level political parties were much higher than similar contributions from unions in other states. Teacher unions in Wisconsin were consistently among the highest giving interest groups to candidates for state office. But political activity by Arizona's teacher unions? Low. Compared to other donors, their contributions to candidates and parties didn't amount to much at all. Scope of bargaining. Are districts required to negotiate with teacher unions? What areas and topics are unions allowed to negotiate? California's teacher unions can collectively bargain for everything from class size to the length of teacher planning periods. And unions in California and 27 other states can automatically collect fees from teachers even if they aren't union members. That's quite different from the situation in the Lone Star State, where collective bargaining, automatic fees, and teacher strikes are illegal. How did the states stack up? We use these 5 areas to rank the states in D.C. from 1 to 51, from those with the strongest to the weakest teacher unions. Many of the strongest were in the Northeast and on the West Coast, and many of the weakest were in the South. But there were plenty of interesting and unexpected exceptions to those trends. Whether a strong teacher union is good for a state's students, schools, and education budgets is the subject of fierce debate. But as this study shows, not all states' teacher unions are equally strong or strong in the same ways. To learn more, including how your state rated, download How Strong Are U.S. Teacher Unions? A State-by-State Comparison.